Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 video. Today I'm going to be going over my Amara build, the build that I've been running since I've kind of come back to Borderlands 3, mostly because there's a lot of nada else out and I don't play Fortnite. So, starting off with the build, I do put 5 points into Anima for the extra status effect damage and status effect duration, mostly for the duration because this is a spiritual driver elemental projector build. From there, I do run 5 points into infusion. Don't think a lot of people understand how much of a damage buff to Amara this is if you run all 5 points instead of 8% to 40% is a huge damage difference with this build. So if you're running the corrosive element action skill bonus, you're getting 40% of whatever damage you are doing to the target. You're getting 40% corrosive damage on top of that. It's pretty much like a free on action skill and do 50% extra elemental damage. But with Amara, it's just with her skill points. It's a phenomenal perk. I'd pick it up. I would avoid any of these, mostly because, I mean, accuracy and handling is okay if you're struggling. We don't need melee damage, and we don't really need to apply a status effect chance to any target because we're just completely melting them anyways. And then from there, I do run 5 points into Tempest for elemental damage bonus, or 30% elemental damage and 20% shock damage. Can't go wrong. 1 point into Dread because with the spiritual driver you are moving around quicker. So with this build, it's just nice to, if you do manage to grasp a target, which you're going to do, everyone does it, I do it, and especially if there's a mob of targets like in the Malawan takedown, how they all drop from the pods, it's easy just to phase grasp them all and just secure their deaths with phase grasp. So it's all up to you, however you want to play that out. But this is just extra gun damage just in case that happens. 1 point into Deep Well, mostly because we are not reloading fast because we don't go into the blue tree at all with this build. So we need as much magazine size as possible. Indiscriminate because this isn't a build just focused on fighting bosses. This is a build where you won't have to ever go back to Sanctuary to change out a build to, melting bosses to melting ants. This build will do everything for you guys. I have not had a problem with this build. I've actually been enjoying Amara a lot more with this build and actually moved away from the operative and Moe's. 4 points into sustainment. We don't run 5. It's up in the air whether or not I think sustainment is better with 5, but 6% of damage dealt on lifesteal with elemental damage is still phenomenal. When you do manage to lose your shield, and you will, as long as you keep on shooting a target, you won't go down with Amara, especially with all the damage reductions that we have with this build. Nothing's going to completely one-shot you, but you might get close. Especially doing the Malawan takedown on the final boss. When someone goes down, I do feel bad that I'm surviving, but they're dying. But in the sense, I can't just stop firing with this build. It's not like you have a shield like the operative that can run over and just revive them real quick, because you have to keep shooting to survive with this build. But with this build, you can do the Malawan takedown solo or with a group. It doesn't matter, you'll always complete it with this build. Then I do run 5 points into Conflux, obviously for extra effect chance. Now if we corrode ourselves, it also gives us a chance to add or apply shock damage, radiation damage, cryo, any of the other elements. And with that, depending on what action skill end you have on a gun, can also buff your damage with elemental projector by 90%. It's a great skill to have. Definitely pick it up. And then just 1 point into forceful expression for the for bonus elemental damage with your gun. This perk plus the infusion basically benefits us to the point to where we don't have to run into the blue tree to grab the damage buff or damage bonuses from the blue tree because we're getting it from the red tree. But we do have to do elemental damage. It's not strictly gun damage. So definitely don't run any guns without elemental damage. But I did. So real quick, as you guys can see, I am running the spiritual driver and the elemental projector. But I'm going to take this off real quick so I can show you guys the green tree. So I do run 3 points into personal space for the extra bonus damage, up to 36% of damage dealt, depending on how close you are to the target. I do run 2 points into clarity. This helps with our survivability. Obviously, when you are trying to dodge like missiles or something from like Wonton, the invincible, your shield is regenerating, plus on top of that you are getting health regenerations, especially if you're not shooting. So this is always good to have, so when you start going back into the fight, you're at full health and you don't have to worry about maybe waiting another second or two before the boss stops firing. 4 points in the helping hand. Damage reduction is phenomenal. With this skill point, helping hands is based on using her action skill, and with phase grasp you're always keeping it up. I mean, you don't have to use it as much because of anima, but this does help keep us alive quite a bit depending on whatever you're doing. It's a phenomenal perk to have, I think. 4 points in arms deal for extra splash damage and splash damage reduction by 35%. This helps to buff our lob, and it also helps when we get shot with 60 missiles from Wonton. We're not completely getting one shot from him, along with helping hands and arms deal. I mean, just against Wonton alone, that's an 80% damage reduction, which just is amazing for Amara. 3 points into mindfulness. Running this skill point with spiritual driver will increase our damage, and plus on when your actions or not when the duration ends for mindfulness, your shield regeneration delay is minus 8%, and your shield just completely recharges, especially if you're not taking damage, which is just helpful overall. And then 5 points into one with nature for the extra health and elemental damage reduction by 40%. You can't go wrong with this perk. Now, some people, they do put 1 point into guardian angel. If you are going down with this build, the spiritual driver is a different way to play the game. Obviously, you are sacrificing damage to get a crap load of damage for yourself to deal against a target, but I don't find a use for guardian angel. Usually if I do go down, which isn't often, I usually can kill just about anything to always get back up, but that all depends on the loadout that you're running with this build. Now the loadout real quick. Obviously the dangerous hellshot got a huge damage buff, and I actually did a video on it. Really great pistol to get. Obviously I would like something with on action skill end, but I just haven't sadly gotten it. The lob is another weapon that I don't even have anointed with, but it just does so much damage, so you can't complain. Always have a cutsman in your loadout, guys. Like, I can't stress that enough. It's too good of an SMG to turn away from. And then the redistributor obviously is another great SMG, especially with Amara, because ricocheting bullets plus every 7th shot is amped. Amp shots chain to nearby enemies. You can't go wrong with this SMG as well. Now with this build, I was actually going through the Mala 1 takedowns, so obviously both my shield and grenade has corrosive 50% bonus corrosive damage, and I usually just run through the raid with the Hell Shock. That's all I need. Plus I also have corrosive damage with my action skill element, so just all that corrosive damage, and then still being able to just completely melt shields on top of that just really helps out. Yeah, you can't go wrong with this build. And then obviously I am running an elemental projector. And then on top of that, I do have the perk to deal 72 bonus elemental damage whenever you melee an enemy. Elemental type changes every 5.0 seconds. Honestly, I do know a huge difference when I, I don't always melee target, but sometimes I remember to do so, and I can just see the difference when I hit a target for 50k and then for the next target's 100k. Like, it's just ridiculous. Usually if I do phase grasp a target, usually I do melee them and then I go off and just shoot all my elemental damage as possible into that target, and it just completely melts them, whether it's anointed or just a badass. It's pretty good build overall. And then with my spiritual driver, I do have 2 points into mindfulness, 1 point into helping hands, and 2 points into clarity. Now, obviously, a good elemental driver, I think personally, you could go either way. You could just go try to get all points into mindfulness to have as much gun damage as possible. But they recently nerfed the gun damage on the class mod, so I don't think it's that important to completely deck out your movement speed. Plus, if you move too fast in this game, you are going to fall off the edge. I occasionally do so with this build now. And with Helping Hands, I think it's just a better overall perk to just get as much damage reduction as possible. Clarity isn't too bad of a perk, like 1 point into Clarity and like maybe an extra point into Helping Hands. But I mean, just overall, like just the way that the class mod adds the points, I'm not I'm not I'm happy with it in a way, because it honestly does help the build, how it's kind of spread out. But I mean, you guys can try whatever you want, but this works for me as far as having 4 points, and it kind of looks better on paper. 4 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, 5 out of 3. But yeah, guys, that is my Amara build. Try it out for yourselves. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you had to take a point out of maybe Arms Deal or something and put it in Guardian Angel, or maybe you had to, take a point out of Conflux and put it in Sustainment. That's the beauty of Borderlands, guys. You can do whatever you want, but I promise you this build will basically suffice through any boss fight, any raid, anything that you're trying to do on this game, as far as maybe trying to just farm weapons in different areas. Like I said, the only thing with this build that you have to really change is the action skill element. And also, too, depending on how many different anointed shields you have. So, like, if you want to do extra incendiary damage or corrosive damage, I mean, that's all up to you guys. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'm going to end the video with me just killing Graveward with all my extra bonus incendiary damage plus the Hell Shock. So let me know what you guys think of that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, as always, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.